Hey everybody, I'm Jamie. Thanks for getting lost and finding your way here. I am super excited about the new football season upon us that starts tomorrow. I'm probably even more excited about fantasy football. I know it's something that I look forward to each week and watching all the games. So I hope your drafts went well. I feel pretty good about mine. I think the only thing that I'm a little bit shaky on is picking Melvin Gordon, although he's not starting for me. But I was able to get Austin Ekeler in a different league, and I feel pretty great about that right now. But I hope everything went well for you too. I hope you feel good about your team and you like them. I want to cover a few things and some bold predictions that I have for this year. So I want to talk through who I think some of the top performers will be per position, as well as who I think will win each division as a team. So this is my effort in putting it on the board. I'm putting it out there, and hopefully I look like a prophet come 5 to 6 months looking back and don't look like a fool. Because I will say a couple of these picks are a little bit unsuspecting. But I've got a vision here, people. So pardon my notes. I'll try not to reference them too much. But I'm going to start with the NFC, and I'm going to particularly talk about the NFC West. Who do I think is going to win? Now, I think the NFC West is going to be a far better and more competitive division than it's been in the past. You've got the Rams, and they've been performing pretty well. And everyone knows that I'm a St. Louis Rams fan. So for me to say that I picked the Rams to win that division is so hard for me, but I do. Next year, I say no. I don't think that they will, because they have a lot of decisions that they need to make defensively, offensively. They've got Brandon Cooks. They've got Robert Woods. You don't sign those guys, and I don't know when their contracts are up, but between them and Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters, they just paid Aaron Donald, they paid Todd Gurley, they paid Jared Goff. They still got Cooper Kupp on his rookie contract, but between them and Clay Matthews, Marcus Peters, all of them, something's got to give. So I think this is really one of their last years to be very competitive, because I think people around them will start to make moves too. Because the Arizona Cardinals have already done that. I like Kyler Murray, and it's going to be interesting and exciting to see how well he does this year. I think with Larry Fitzgerald there and Christian Kirk, they will be dangerous, and DJ is healthy. I think that with Russell Wilson at the helm and Tyler Lockett coming into his element, I think that things are going to be interesting. And they finally got, Chris Carson, as their established running back. So I think that things are going to get interesting. And let's not forget Jimmy G. Marquise Goodwin. I think he's actually a pretty sleeper option this year. I think people forget about the chemistry they had together. And then a lot of people like Dante Pettis too, and George Kittle. So he's got some firepower around him too, and I think that division's going to get shaken up a little bit. You play each other a lot, and I'm always a proponent that when you play each other a lot and there's a lot of competition within that division, you just beat each other up, so it's tough. So we'll see. I'm picking the Rams, though, for this year, as hard as it is for me. I'm picking the Vikings in the North, people. I think the Vikings are just as good, if not better, than last year. I think their defense underperformed last year, and I think Kirk Cousins has had another year to settle into the system. Dalvin Cook is healthy. They've got some strong firepower, and I trust in Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs. So, in the South, I to that point, though, I also think that the Bears and the Packers will be relevant. I always never count out Aaron Rodgers because he's a stud. And Aaron Jones will be playing the full season, so I think that he'll have a strong look from the beginning of the season onward. I think the Bears' defense will keep them in games, but I just don't trust their offense, to be honest. And I don't know that Mitch Trubisky has the firepower to put points on the board like he might need to. So hopefully the Bears' defense can keep the points off the board, but I'm going with the Vikings because I think they're more balanced across the board. In the South, I say that the Saints prevail. They will be marching in, people. They really haven't lost much except for Mark Ingram. Wah, wah, wah. And I think that's going to be the biggest difference that might not They should have went to the Super Bowl last year. Let's get real, people. But I think if anything, not having Mark Ingram might actually be a little bit of an inhibitor in them reaching the Super Bowl this year. I think Mark Ingram was a true running back. I think Alvin Kamara is a fantastic running back and a great pass catcher. And I think that is where he edges out Mark Ingram without a doubt. But when it comes to true goal line carries and strong runs, Mark Ingram is a beast. And I don't know that Latavius Murray has that same capability. So I still am not counting them. I love the Saints this year. I love Drew Brees. I was targeting him in many leagues this year. I think Michael Thomas is going to be an absolute stud this year. So anyway, I'm picking the Saints. And in the East, I am picking, wait for it, the New York Giants. Crazy, I know. But I just think Saquon Barkley, if you can be that great as a rookie, gosh, sign me up for the sophomore season because the guy is amazing. And I feel like they lost one of the biggest distractions that I felt like would break their momentum. I think with a guy like Golden Tate who knows his role and plays his role and is always involved and is getting you first down after first down, and Sterling Shepard I think is going to come into his element. And they got Evan Ingram and he's healthy. So I just think that they have so much more, so many more threats across the board than maybe they did. Now, Odell Beckham, great talent. I think he'll do pretty well in Cleveland, but I think he's in for a rude awakening in that Jarvis Landry is going to be definitely edging in on those targets, and Baker Mayfield's still not Eli Manning. Eli Manning slings it. So I never count that out. So it's going to be interesting, but I'm picking the Giants. Now, I am picking the Dallas Cowboys as my wild card pick. That's right. I didn't pick the Eagles. I am just not sold on the Eagles. And I'm not sold on Carson Wentz. Maybe I'm crazy. Everybody says he's going to have the breakout season. Spoiler alert, he's not in my top 5 quarterbacks. Gosh, I feel like a Scrooge right now. But that's just my opinion. I really think if he were playing last year in the Super Bowl, I don't know that they would have won. I really love Carson Wentz. I love his attitude. I love his approach to the game. But I just think Nick Foles is a gunslinger. The guy is, I just feel like he was in a great system and he just lets it rip. So I'm picking Dallas and I'm picking Atlanta as the wild card teams for the NFC. I think that division will be won in total by the Vikings. I think the Vikings are going to the Super Bowl, people. I'm partial, so this is a mildly biased pick. Take that for what it's worth. AFC, in the West, I'm going with KC. I think that Denver's also going to put up a pretty great fight. I've got them as a wild card pick. In the North, the AFC North, I am picking the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think Ben still got it. I think Juju Smith-Schuster is going to kill it this year. I also think that James Conner is primed for a pretty solid role in season, especially since he's been prepping. I do think that the Cleveland Browns will be pretty good. I do like Baker Mayfield. I just don't know that he's going to throw as many touchdowns as some of the elite quarterbacks. So maybe I'm wrong. I really hope. I think he'll do better than he did last year. But they had a lot of really close games last year that, they maybe scored a touchdown or two. Nick Chubb's going to kill it. So it's just a question of really how they're going to run that offense and how much they're going to run versus pass. In the South, get ready for it, people. The Jacksonville Jaguars. I think I've already kind of shown my hand in that I love Nick Foles. We're talking about the Super Bowl MVP here, people. What he did in such a short period of time with such little preparation is pretty amazing. So I'm picking the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know it's crazy. They got a pretty great defense, and I think Nick Foles is going to light it up. So I do think that Houston will be in some strong contention. I think that division's actually pretty decent. Aside from the Titans, I think that they're going to struggle. But I've got the Texans for the wild card spot. I could be wrong, but you know what? Let's go for it. In the East, I'd be crazy if I didn't pick them, the Patriots. Tom Brady, he's pretty much unstoppable. He's virtually unstoppable. Julian Edelman's healthy. Sony Michel had a fantastic season last year, and I think he's going to continue that. We'll see how Josh Gordon pans out. I mean, obviously they lost Gronk, so that's a big hurt. But we've seen the Patriots rise through worse adversities than that. So my guess is that they'll find somebody else to plug that hole and be going to the Super Bowl again next year. So if not the Patriots, what I will say is I actually think Kansas City stands a pretty great shot too. But I say New England versus the Vikings. I'm going with the Vikings next year. I think the Vikings are going to win the Super Bowl. So let's go to the top 5. So I think the top 5 quarterbacks next year are going to be Patrick Mahomes. Big shocker. I think Aaron Rodgers will be a top 5 quarterback. I think Deshaun Watson will be a top 5 quarterback, 3rd. I think Ben Roethlisberger is going to be 4th. Kind of crazy. I don't know. But I just think he's going to sling it. And number 5, I'm going with Nick Foles. Call me crazy, people. Call me crazy. I don't have Carson Wentz in that top 5, but I just think Nick Foles is just going to sling it until he can't anymore. All right, let's go to running backs. I feel like these are pretty consistent with what most people would say, but I'm going Saquon Barkley, Zeke Elliott, Todd Gurley, Christian McCaffrey, and then Alvin Kamara. And I look at this as like a fantasy football point scoring PPR situation. I just think all of them, they're such great pass catching backs, and they're going to get carries too. So those are my top 5. And then I'm going to go ahead and pick my top 5 wide receivers. So this is really tough because I just feel like there's so many great wide receivers this year. But I'm going to go Tyreek Hill, Michael Thomas at 2, DeAndre Hopkins at 3, Julio Jones at 4, and Devontae Adams at 5. I think Adam Thielen will be on the bubble at 6. So those are my picks. And at tight end, I'm going with Travis Kelce. Got to. As long as he stays healthy, he's going to be the best tight end in football. I think Zach Ertz is number 2. For me, Evan Ingram's number 3. Number 4, George Kittle. I think people are pretty high on him this year, but they've got some talent. I'm going to say this right now. If Marquise Goodwin's available in your league, you should pick him up. There's a lot of talent across the board. They got Dante Pettis. Somebody's got to rise to the occasion. And I think George Kittle is going to get a lot of really great looks from Jimmy G. So, and I think that they're going to have a tough division. So they'll probably be throwing the ball quite a bit. And then I think Hunter Henry. So those are my top 5 for tight ends. And overall, I'm pretty excited about this season. Hopefully my picks are not something that I regret later on. But I think it's fun. So anyway, I wish you all a fantastic fantasy season. These are my prophetic predictions for the year. Good luck out there. I will be posting another video on some of my picks for the week and just some DFS plays, stuff like that. So feel free to check that out here. I will be posting each week, just kind of highlighting some good pickup options and some moves for the week. So stay tuned, and thanks for tuning in.